Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about the writing section, and more specifically, the first part, the integrated essay. What makes a good integrated essay? Well, actually, three things do. First, you need to understand the information in the text and the lecture. This requires a strong grasp of academic vocabulary. Otherwise, you simply won't understand what the text and the lecture are about. Second, you need to be able to take effective notes. This is the skill we will be working on today. Finally, you need to know how to organize your notes into a logical essay. To do this, you need a good template. This is the foundation of a well-scored essay. We will talk more about it later in this video. Now, let's take a look at a sample integrated task. The text is about sea otters. The first thing you should do when working with the text is ask yourself the question, what is the main idea of the text? What is it about? As I said, it's about sea otters, but that's too general. You need to be more specific. The answer will always be in the first paragraph. After scanning the first paragraph, I learned that sea otters are mammals and that their populations started to decline rapidly. Therefore, the text is about sea otters and the rapid decline in their populations. That's what you should write in your notes. Remember that the text and lecture will always be on the same topic. So, if the text is about the decline in sea otter populations, the lecture will be too. According to the text, there are three possible explanations for the decline. The author will most likely choose one of these explanations and provide three reasons why it is the most likely explanation. In contrast, the lecturer will select a different explanation and contradict the information provided in the text. This is how every integrated essay is structured. The first paragraph begins with the sentence, one explanation was environmental pollution, and the second was attacks by predators. The text will support one explanation, and the lecture will support the other. As I continue reading the first paragraph, I see that the author picks environmental pollution as the cause of the decline in sea otter populations. Therefore, the author believes that environmental pollution caused the decline in sea otter populations. You can write that down. The lecturer will then claim that the decline was caused by the second explanation, attacks by predators. You can write that down too. This way, when you listen to a lecture, you will already know what to expect. Now, we have to figure out why the author thinks pollution caused the decline. There will usually be three reasons supporting this opinion. You will find one reason in each body paragraph. Each body paragraph is structured in the following way: a fact and an explanation of why the fact is important to the main idea of the text. What does that mean? Well, let me show you. In the first body paragraph, the fact is known pollution sources, such as oil rigs. This is actually the first reason why the author believes pollution caused the decline. Now, imagine you're someone who is completely unaware of the topic and hasn't read this text. You would probably want to know why the author believes known pollution sources had something to do with the decline in sea otter numbers. What made him or her think so? This is why you need an explanation. You need to provide additional details to explain why this specific fact helps support the main idea. Which part of the text explains why the author believes known pollution sources are responsible for the decline in sea otter numbers? Water samples. Why? Because the samples show increased levels of chemicals that could decrease the otters' immune systems and indirectly result in their deaths. This means that many harmful chemicals were found in the water samples taken close to the oil rigs. These chemicals could negatively impact otters' immune systems. As a result, many otters died. This clearly explains why the author believes known pollution sources prove environmental pollution, not predator attacks, caused the decline. Organize your notes, as we discussed. Fact, reason 1, known pollution sources, oil rigs. Explanation, water samples, increased levels of chemicals, decrease immune systems, result in deaths. Please bear in mind that you cannot use information from the text without paraphrasing it. In your essay, you need to express the same ideas, but in your own words. Think of it as breaking down hard phrases into simpler English for someone who is not an expert on the topic. In other words, you're simply saying the same thing in different words so that a person can better process the information. Of course, some words and phrases are difficult to paraphrase. Pollution is one example. You can leave it in your essay. However, you should change many other words from the text. And this is where good paraphrasing skills are important. To practice paraphrasing, take pieces of articles and rewrite them in your own words while maintaining the same main idea. There are also many strategies for paraphrasing that can help you do this quickly and almost without thinking. I explain these strategies in our TOEFL course. If you find paraphrasing difficult, feel free to click the link below. I will also provide useful synonyms for both Writing Task 1 and Writing Task 2. As for the notes, you can write things down exactly as they are written in the text, as we just did, and then paraphrase them when you start writing. Alternatively, if you're good at paraphrasing on the spot, you can paraphrase in your head and write down the paraphrased version immediately. Then, you'll be able to use your notes in your essay without paraphrasing. Those of you who are not fast writers can highlight the important parts mentally and return to them after the lecture. All right, let's move on to the second paragraph. What is the fact here? In other words, what is the second reason pollution caused the population decline? It's the decline of other sea mammals, such as seals. This means that many other animals died too, not just sea otters. What is the explanation? Here it is. Whatever was affecting the otters was also affecting the other sea mammals. Indeed, environmental pollution affects everyone. So if other animals were affected as well, then the decline in populations was most likely caused by pollution. This is exactly what the next sentence says. Pollution affects an entire ecosystem. The text also mentions that only predators that occurred in a large area, such as orcas, could cause the same effect, but they usually hunt larger prey. Therefore, we can rule out orcas as a potential threat because they usually hunt animals larger than sea otters. So, in my notes, I will write down the following. Fact, reason 2, decline of other sea mammals, seals. Explanation, whatever was affecting the otters was affecting the other sea mammals. Pollution affects an entire ecosystem. Orcas usually hunt larger prey. Great. I wrote down the most important elements that I can use to build a logical argument in my essay. Please bear in mind that your essay should make sense to a complete stranger who is unaware of the topic. One way to check your essay is to show it to a family member or friend who can speak English and ask if they understand your argument. If they do, then you've done a great job. If not, then you probably chose the wrong facts for your notes. Or your template could be improved. Your writing will be much easier if you use a good template. For example, the template for the integrated essay in our TOEFL course is 119 words long. If your essay is 200 words long, the template will make up about 60% of your essay. If you write 250 words, the template will make up about half of your essay. It also provides a structure, so you won't need to worry about the order of the information. All you need to do to write a successful integrated essay is to follow the template and take effective notes while reading and listening to the lecture. All right, let's move on to the final paragraph. The third reason why pollution is the cause of the otter population decline is the uneven pattern of the decline. This is our fact. By the way, uneven means irregular. How does this prove that pollution is causing the decline? Well, in some Alaskan locations, the otter populations decline, while other populations remain stable. This means that in areas of Alaska where oil rigs are located and pollution occurs, many otters died. However, in areas without pollution, they did not. Why? Because of the ocean currents. These currents have created uneven concentrations of pollutants along the coast. Simply put, water currents allow pollutants to accumulate near the Alaskan coast, creating pollution. Good. These are our notes. Fact, reason 3. Uneven pattern of otter decline. Explanation, in some locations, the otter population declined. Other populations remain stable. Ocean currents, uneven concentrations of pollutants along the coast. Okay, that's it for the text analysis. Now you have to do the same with the lecture. As you know, it will also be about the decline of the sea otter population, but the lecture will argue that predator attacks, not pollution, caused it. Keep in mind that even if you don't have the lecture script, the lecture is structured the same way the text is. It has 4 paragraphs, an introduction, and 3 body paragraphs. Each body paragraph begins with a fact followed by an explanation. Now, let's listen to the lecture. Take notes while listening. Use this structure for your notes. And after the lecture is over, we will compare our notes.
Ongoing investigations have shown that predation is the most likely cause of the sea otter decline after all. First, there is a lack of dead sea otters washing up on Alaskan beaches, which is not what you would expect from infections caused by pollution killing them off. However, the fact that dead sea otters are seldom found supports the predator hypothesis. If a predator kills an otter, then it is eaten right away and can't wash up on shore. Second, orcas prefer to hunt whales. But whales have essentially disappeared in that area due to human hunters. Since the whales are not as available, orcas have had to change their diet to what is available. Since it is only smaller sea animals available, the orcas have probably started hunting those more, and created the decline in all of the species mentioned in the passage. And finally, predation is a more likely reason for the uneven pattern of otter decline. Otters in locations that are more accessible to orcas are more likely to be hunted. This is supported by the stable population of otters in shallow rocky locations where orcas can't access.
All right, let me show you my notes. Explanation for the decline. Predation, cause of the decline. Fact, reason 1. Lack of dead sea otters washing up, not pollution killing them off. Explanation, dead otters are seldom, if a predator kills, eaten right away, can't wash up onto the shore. Fact, reason 2. Orcas prefer to hunt whales. Whales disappeared because of human hunters. Explanation, had to change diet. Smaller sea animals, hunt those more. Decline in all species. Fact, reason 3. Uneven pattern of otter decline. Explanation, locations more accessible to orcas. Stable population of otters in shallow rocky locations. Orcas can't access. The notes I'm showing you are now deciphered, so you can read and understand them. Normally, when I take notes, I substitute some words with letters or symbols so that I can write down as much information as possible. The more information you write down, the easier it will be to write an essay afterwards. Also, if you write down a lot, you won't make so many grammar mistakes. If grammar is not your strong point, and if you don't have time to review all the grammar rules, I have added a lesson to the course that covers the most common grammar mistakes students make in their essays. It also explains the most relevant grammar points you need to know. In fact, there are not too many rules you need to review to avoid 90% of grammar mistakes in writing. And we cover all of them in just one lecture. You can now review the lecture script and see for yourself that its structure is identical to that of the reading. If you didn't fully understand the lecture, feel free to read through the script to gain a better understanding. Finally, we need to combine our notes from the reading and the lecture. I normally do it this way. At this point, all you need to do is organize these notes into an essay using a template. Don't forget to paraphrase the reading notes if you haven't already done so. You can access our high-scoring templates by clicking the link below. If you are currently preparing for the test and want to check how ready you are, click here to get your writing and speaking scored. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips and tricks on how to ace the TOEFL. As always, I wish you all a stellar TOEFL score. Until next time, bye-bye.